And we start with breaking news from the U.S. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have voted overwhelmingly to force the Justice Department to release all files related to its investigation of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The bill, called the Epstein Files Transparency Act, passed with support from both Republicans and Democrats. Until a few days ago, President Trump had worked to prevent this vote, repeatedly downplaying the importance of the files, calling them part of a Democratic hoax. Legislation now moves to the U.S. Senate. But even with bipartisan support in the House for the files to be released, it may still take time before they see the light of day, the Senate vote. It remains a hurdle despite the president's U-turn on the issue. Here's a closer look now at what is inside the Epstein files and why they are so controversial.
Demands to release the so-called Epstein files have grown. From a fringe issue into a call promoted by right-wing influencers and MAGA Republicans, one that has even paralysed the US government at times. The late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein socialised with many rich and powerful people during his lifetime. At one point, friends even with Donald Trump, though Trump says they fell out well before he won his first term as US president. Epstein was convicted on prostitution charges in 2008, struck a bargain with prosecutors, serving just 13 months. Then he was charged with sex trafficking of minors in 2019 and killed himself in prison that year, awaiting trial. While there are questions over the short sentence he served in 2008, the source of his wealth and how he managed to abuse so many girls for so long, conspiracy theories focus on his death and speculate if one of his powerful former friends ordered his killing. The Epstein files refer to a huge cache of material collected for court cases and investigations into Epstein's activities that the US government holds. These range from emails between him and his huge network of contacts that spanned former US presidents, ex-princes and billionaires, witness testimonies, records detailing who flew to his private island on his private jet, and testimonies from his victims. Some of these documents have been released in the public domain, but a large tranche is still under wraps.
Well, for more now, I'm joined by Barbara Perry. She's a professor of governance at the University of Virginia. Professor, it's good to have you with us. This vote tonight, it was bipartisan. It makes me wonder, how much pressure must the U.S. president be under right now from his own party?
Well, first of all, great to be with you, and to have any description of anything that's happening in Washington or on Capitol Hill is bipartisan is news in and of itself, isn't it? It's a tremendous amount of pressure on the president, and now tremendous pressure on particularly Republicans in the Senate, because this bill will next move to the Senate of the United States, and they will have the opportunity to vote whether to pass it or not. And then it would go, if they did pass it, it would go to the president's desk, and he would have the option to veto it or sign it into law.
The president, as I understand it, has the authority to order the Justice Department to release these files. This vote didn't even have to take place. Is that correct? And why didn't the president make that order if he had this epiphany a few days ago and decided to support the legislation?
You're right. He did have that power. He had that power coming into office on January the 20th of this year. And he knew that members of the so-called MAGA group, Make America Great Again, the base of his party, had made this a major issue going back to his first term. So he could have done it. The epiphany that you say that he had in the last couple of days, he could have done it then. He could do it now. He could save members of his party for having to vote for it, or members of the opposite party to have to vote for it. But he clearly doesn't want this material out because he's in it. It's a pretty simple answer. And that even if both houses vote for it, and even if he would signed the bill. The thing that he could do to try to prevent himself from being at issue is to say, oh, we're investigating through the courts Democrats, because he said in the recent days, oh, it's the Democrats who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, not me. And that's just a blatant lie. So he could stop some of the material from coming out by saying the Justice Department through the courts is now looking into cases involving the Democrats and Jeffrey Epstein.
I know that in terms of optics, this is obviously not a good look for any politician, obviously for the U.S. president. But beyond that, releasing these files, making them public, do you think that they are going to do noticeable damage to President Trump's, what remains of his second term?
If they do, it will be the first time that a blow has been landed, no pun intended from the recent news, but that a blow has been landed on this president, because we know of the litigation that came against him, the court cases, the juries that voted against him leading up to the 2024 election, and still he was elected. So it remains to be seen if this is, I'll use the term as Waterloo. It won't cause him to be impeached and removed from office, but it could speed up his being what we call a lame duck. That is someone who technically, constitutionally cannot run again, and might begin to weaken him, and certainly today has weakened his hold on the Republican Party, at least in the House of Representatives.
Well, it's certainly created new enemies for him, hasn't it? I'm thinking of Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. She was one of his biggest supporters, and now he calls her Marjorie Traitor Brown.
Yes, and as the comedians have pointed out, if you have to explain your nickname, it's probably not very funny or clever. But in parentheses, he said, "This is what happens to green grass when it rots; it turns brown."
Right.
So one has to wonder, why is he attempting to make enemies of his friends and biggest supporters? Something is happening behind the scenes that he doesn't want to be transparent, as the act says today, being passed by the House.
What do you think the chances are that the Senate is going to also vote for this legislation? And do you see this story having a definite end point, or is this something that will just go on and on and on?
I could see the Senate, particularly those members of the Senate, and it's a third of them every 2 years are up for re-election. So if you take some of those and add them to the Democrats, who are close to 50 within the Senate, I could see them voting. They might have to get past a filibuster and might have to get up to 60. But if they should, and it goes to the president, it would behoove him to sign it into law. And then if he wants to put up other stumbling blocks, he can. And I think it will continue to move on and on, because Donald Trump has been very clever about keeping his name out of harm's way. And even when he's in harm's way, it never seems to land a blow that is something that would cause him to lose the presidency or to become weaker. But that remains to be seen.
Professor Barbara Perry from the University of Virginia. Professor, we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Thank you.